If I had to rebrand my business again today, I would do it very differently from when I first created my brand almost 13 years ago now. And the interesting thing is that most of these changes have far less to do with colors or logos or fonts than they do with overall strategy. Because the biggest mistakes I see business owners making when they do a rebrand isn't the design mistakes, it's actually those strategy mistakes. And so if you actually want your brand to stand the test of time instead of being back here or listening to this podcast or watching this video again in 3 months because the rebrand that you did wasn't actually what you needed, then this episode is going to be for you. And make sure you hang around to the end because I'm going to share with you the exact order and the exact questions that you need to be asking yourself to have a brand that actually stands the test of time and that you love and that actually attracts your dream clients, because that is honestly the point of a brand in the first place. So hello, if we haven't met yet, my name is Jackie, and pretty much I am a graphic designer whose whole purpose is to help you as an everyday business owner create your own incredible brand and graphics using programs just like Canva. And so let's get into chatting about rebrands, because you can't do a good rebrand if you don't know why you're doing the rebrand. And most people are doing a rebrand for one of these 5 reasons. Maybe they started out with a DIY brand and now they've kind of outgrown it. They've done something that's a bit rough and they're like, this is probably not as professional as I need, and they update it. P.S. You can DIY a professional brand. It just depends on how well you DIY in the first place. If you ever need support, I'm here to help you. I've got courses and programs that can do that for you. I digress. Okay, second reason people often rebrand is that their visuals are starting to feel kind of inconsistent and messy, and they know that they need a more of a full system. Oftentimes, I see so many businesses, they've created a brand, they might have done a logo and maybe some fonts and maybe some colors, but they don't have a full brand system and they realize they need to pull it all together properly. That's another reason people often choose to rebrand. The next reason, the third reason people might choose to rebrand is that their current brand is attracting the wrong clients, and they realize that the caliber of person they want to bring in or the sort of person they want to bring in is not the person they're currently having jumping in their DMs or filling out their checkout. And that's what a good brand can do. Your good brand shouldn't just attract the kind of clients you need, it should repel the kind of clients that you don't want. For example, I used to have a grey brand because I was terrified of deterring anyone, and it meant that I worked with a lot of clients I didn't really gel with amazingly. They were great people, but they weren't the clients for me. And so when I rebranded, I made sure that I really hit the nail on the head around the kind of brand and the kind of person I wanted to attract. Anyway, I'm getting ahead of myself. All right, number 4, the fourth reason people often choose to rebrand is that potentially their current pricing or offers have changed since their first brand. For example, when I first started my business, I was just a graphic designer who designed for anybody. But now my pricing has gone up, my target audience has changed, and the kind of service that I offer has changed dramatically as well. So I would need a new brand to fit that new offering, even though the business itself is inherently the same. And a fifth reason people often rebrand is that their business has evolved, but their brand hasn't. So this might be one of the reasons I've just mentioned, or maybe you as a person have just evolved and you want something that represents you better, or there's a plethora of reasons this might be. So whether you fit into one of those 5 categories, or maybe you have a totally different reason for rebranding, you are going to love this episode, because rebranding is really about aesthetics. Most of the time, it's a signal that the business has grown or it's changed, and the visuals need to keep up with that so it stays aligned and it keeps on attracting the right people. And that's where I see the biggest rebrand mistake happening, is that people are just picking colors or logos or fonts just based on what they personally love or the thing that's most currently in trend right now. In essence, they're starting with the visuals and what they're visually attracted to rather than the strategy. And colors and fonts and Instagram templates and logos, they're not strategy in themselves. They're the result. They're the visual result of good strategy. And if you don't have the good strategy underneath everything else, the visuals that you choose aren't going to stand the test of time. They're not going to attract your ideal audience. They're not going to do anything good for your business other than maybe look good for 5 minutes and then be out of trend again. It's kind of like if you were redecorating a house, but you didn't know what the house's purpose was. Like for me right now, we have just built a house, and I built a lot of the things and chose a lot of the decisions that I made around the fact that we have a young family. Whereas if you were a retired couple, you would have chosen very different design decisions than maybe I did, but you need to know the purpose and the strategy before you actually do the redesigning. And the same goes for your brand too. So I'm going to go over now the exact rebranding process that I use, including the questions that you need to ask yourself if you don't want to be rebranding again in 3 years' time or 3 months' time, or even 3 weeks' time when you do it so wrong that it's not really hitting the nail on the head. Before I get into those exact questions, I want to remind you of something else that's really important as a business grows, because usually we're rebranding because our business is growing. And usually when we're rebranding, we just think about the visuals, but there is actually a lot of underlying things we also need to be considering at a similar time in our business. Because rebranding isn't just a design decision. It's an actual like full-on business decision. It shouldn't just be done on a whim. It should be done really intentionally. Because if you're just changing the way things look, but the back end of the business is staying the same, or the way that you're messaging yourself is staying the same and nothing else is actually changing, there's going to be parts where you hit a ceiling and you're not able to move past it because there's other things at play that are getting in the way of you growing. And so before I get into the visual side of things, which I'm going to do in just a moment, I want to chat about something that I feel like no one ever brings into this rebranding conversation, this growth, this elevation, this scaling of a business conversation. Because what I think a lot of people forget is that your visuals are not the only thing that needs to level up in your business. Your back-end systems need to grow with you as well, or they're going to be that ceiling for you. They are going to hold you back. And I may or may not be speaking from personal experience on this. So that's why this video in particular is in partnership with Xero, because it fits so perfectly into this rebranding conversation. And so if you haven't heard of it, Xero is a cloud-based, like an online accounting platform. And it's designed to help small businesses with everything kind of with the finances of stuff, invoicing, the bills, the payments, the bookkeeping, all of those things, but all kind of in one place. Because I'll say this really clearly, when you're trying to build a premium brand, a brand that's going to last, going to stand the test of time, you need to have the back-end systems that back this up as well. It can't just be held together with random notes and some spreadsheets and some receipts kind of flying all over the place. It needs to have a strong back-end system. Because when you don't, this is the kind of stuff that creates stress in a business and is the kind of thing that makes you want to give up. And it just slows you down and it makes it harder to be consistent with the growth that you're hopefully working towards. You've got these big goals, but if you don't have those systems to back you up, you're going to keep running into roadblocks. And what I love about Xero is it really helps me feel organized behind the scenes. So everything like those bills and those invoices and those payments and those expenses that aren't living in 12 different systems or 12 different places or 12 different files or folders or spreadsheets. Everything has a really clear home and it feels really easy and manageable and not overwhelming to stay on top of. And so for us, we changed to Xero a bit over a year ago, and we changed not even just from manual things. I changed from another accounting program, and we were having to do so many things manually. It wasn't connecting to Stripe. It kept on glitching on its connection to PayPal. It wasn't connecting to my Dubsado platform. There were so many things it just wasn't doing. We were having to do so many things manually and piecing it together, and it was just a nightmare. So literally this one change to Xero has saved me and my mum as my bookkeeper days of time just in that small amount of time. And so if you are currently piecing things together or having a system that's not quite working for you, I'd love to invite you to give Xero a shot. Right now, honestly, take them up on this. They have an offer of 90% off for 6 months. Just use the link below in the description. I popped it right at the top, so it's really easy for you to find. Grab that, click on it, sign up, even if it's just for a couple months to give it a try. You've got pretty much nothing to lose, absolutely everything to gain in your business. All right, let's now get back into my rebranding process. But honestly, if things are feeling really manual right now, and it's slowing you down, please do give Xero a try. You will not regret it. Let's go into the 5 steps you need if you want to rebrand correctly, rebrand once, and hopefully not for many, many, many more years to come because you've done it the right way. First up, I want you to set the goal of your rebrand. And to do that, you're going to ask yourself 2 main questions. Firstly, why am I rebranding? Like those questions I asked at the start of like, what's the reason for rebranding? And secondly is, what problem are you trying to fix? It's kind of similar to that first question, but kind of expanding on it more of like, why am I rebranding? Like, what is the problem I'm trying to fix? Because if you're rebranding just because you're bored, it might be time for you to focus on something else and come back to rebranding at another date, because rebranding because you're bored isn't always the best reason. But if you're finding your current brand isn't attracting your ideal client, you find your current brand looks a bit amateur, those are great reasons to rebrand. So ask yourself first, why am I rebranding? And do I want to attract higher clients? Do I want to charge more? And do I need to look more premium? Do I want to simplify my message? Do I want to reposition my business? Those are great reasons to rebrand, because your brand really needs to support where you're going in your business, not where you started. And I think a lot of us, we kind of cap ourselves when we're doing a rebrand because we think, oh, but this is what my business was and it needs to represent that. No, your brand, whenever I'm doing a rebrand with my students, I say, what's your goals for the next year? What's your goals for the next 5 years? Because you want to make sure the rebrand is actually capturing where you want to end up, not just where you are now. That brings us to step number 2, and that is to clarify your offer and your messaging. I need you to be able to clearly answer these 3 questions. 1, what do you do? Like literally, what do you do? What is your service? What is your key offer? What are your key offers? Then who is it for? So that's your target audience. Who are you doing this work for? It's not everyone. Like when I had my grey brand, I was trying to appeal to everyone. Who do you want to work with? And who do you best serve? I realized I didn't work best with guys, not because there was anything wrong with guys. I just didn't gel with them as easily as I did with women in business. So I niched down that direction, and you can niche down even more than just women in business. And so find out, who do you love working with the most? And then why does what you do matter? When you have real clarity on those three things, you're going to be able to create designs and rebrands and graphics that actually hit the goals and have a strategy underneath them, not just looking pretty. Because what should happen is that your audience should be able to tell at a glance, this person's for me. Say, for example, recently I hired someone to help me set up my backend text messaging system. I found a lady and she had a beautiful brand and it was great. I worked with her and I paid her some money and she helped me. If she was to have a brand that wasn't kind of like purples and pinks and yellows, and instead it was like khaki green and really masculine dark colors and clean fonts, I would have been like, is this a chick is she helping my kind of business? I would have second guessed if I was her ideal client. So you need to have a brand that pre-qualifies your audience to know like, oh yes, this person is for me, because your designs can literally show that at a glance. And if it's not right now, then you need to make sure that your rebrand makes it so. So once you've done the step 2 and you know your offer and your messaging, I want you to define your brand personality and your vibe. So this determines things like the tone of your graphics, the aesthetic, the photography style, your visual style. For example, is your brand calm and minimal? Or is it bold and confident? Because those two different things are going to look vastly different in a full brand style. Similarly, is your brand playful and creative, or is it premium and polished? Again, those two things are going to look so different. So you need to nail, the question I ask my students is, what are 5 words you want someone to feel when they see your Instagram or feel when they work with you? Those are going to give you really tangible markers for if your branding is hitting the mark. If you want your business to feel calm and minimal, but your brand feels really playful and creative, there's going to be a bit of a mismatch, because if I was to come to your business and I was wanting someone who's really calm to kind of calm me down and to coach me through something really tough in my life, but when I got to your Instagram page, it was all bright and floral and colorful, I would probably think, that's not the business for me. And I wouldn't work with you because of that. And so we need to make sure that your branding and your designs actually capture the tone and the personality you want your business to have. Step number 4 is then pretty much putting visual legs on all of these things. So creating a mood board for your visual direction. So this is where you take all of these strategy questions that I've asked you and you create example graphics. You find and you source graphics from all over the place. My personal favorite place to look is Pinterest. And you get those things and you create for yourself a visual direction based on the answers you've come up with those questions. You find colors that might suit that calm and minimal look. You find a photography style that matches the kind of clients that you want to bring in. You find fonts that, again, appeal to that strategy you've built on, or layouts, or anything at all. You find visuals, logos, anything at all that represents the things you've worked out in those first 3 questions. Because when you do this, you're not designing from a void. When you get to actually doing the creating in the next step, you're not feeling like you're starting from scratch. You're just having to think of, what color would such and such like. You've done research. You can actually search on Pinterest, like if you're targeting women in business, you could literally search business woman color palette, or you could search feminine color palette, or you could search bold color palette, or you would search minimal color palette. Searching the phrases that you've found with design words like color palette, font, logo design, social media design, all of those things will help you to create a visual mood board so you can actually base your brand on things that are solid and also not feel like you're starting from scratch. At this point in time, we're never going to create a brand new color or create a brand new font. What we're going to do is find fonts that represent what we need, colors that represent what we need, find them out there in the world, and then channel them to bring into our brand, kind of bringing in our own perfect mix and match of these fonts, these colors, these styles. And then step number 5, we actually get to the designing. So I want you to design your visual identity and templates. This is where you're creating your logos, your colors, choosing your fonts, choosing and creating social media templates or any sort of template you need for your business, your website design. And now those visuals, instead of just being based on anything random that you created, they're actually based on your strategy, on your messaging, on your positioning, and they're going to stand the test of time. This will make the whole rebranding process feel far less overwhelming and also mean that it feels really cohesive and intentional. It's going to do the work that you want wanted your rebrand to do to attract the right people and to set you up as the professional that you are. And your visuals, instead of just being some pretty thing that you found today or based on a random trend, they become an expression, a visual expression of the strategy. So I want to remind you that rebranding doesn't need to feel overwhelming, but a good rebrand should make your business clearer, should make your business simpler, and it should make it so much easier to communicate and so much easier to sell, because now when someone sees your brand, they're not going to see a mismatch of things or something that doesn't represent you anymore or something that looks amateur. They're going to see a really beautiful, full, strong brand that attracts them, that draws them in and sets you up as the pro that you are. And so if you're currently in the rebranding stage of your business, let me know in the comments, what stage are you at? Are you just in the brainstorming stage? Are you in the strategy stage, or are you actually in the visual building stage? Let me know where you're at so I can cheer you on there. If you want more content around branding strategy, around Canva design, and all things building a really strong and beautiful cohesive brand, make sure you've hit subscribe on YouTube or whatever podcast platform that you are on. And if you do want some more support with your branding and design, hit me up, because I have so much coaching that could help you to do this right the first time, so you can enjoy that full process and have something that actually grows your business instead of holding you back. Finally. And I want to remind you too, if you haven't already, jump over to Xero, jump on that link below. You get literally 90% off for the next 6 months. Give Xero a try and see how it transforms your backend to something that doesn't feel overwhelming anymore, but actually supports your business to scale and to grow into that next chapter. So thanks for joining me today. Appreciate you being here, and I'll see you next week for another episode.